All right. Welcome to Yin. Today we are going to use a blanket and definitely a block. If you have a bolster, we can use that as well, but definitely a block and a blanket. So I'm sitting on the blanket right now, giving myself a little prop up. So if you could do that, that would be great. And just find a comfortable seat. We'll take a moment and close our eyes. And just observe how we're feeling today. Notice your breath. Can you let go of some tension in the face and the jaw? Maybe taking a nice long exhale through the mouth. And as we close our mouth, bringing that attention back to the back of our throat. Hearing a soft, deep, dry breath. As we find a nice tall posture, shoulders over the hips and ears over the shoulders. Bring our hands to our heart. We'll do one Om this evening if you'd like to join in, and then recite our intention for our practice. Let's take a nice deep breath in. May I be free from fear and harm. May I be content as I am. May I find peace with whatever comes. Let's keep our eyes closed for a little bit. Just place one hand in the center of the chest and one hand on the navel. And just take this next minute or so of just breathing into these two vital chakra points in our body. And just mindfully notice as you breathe in, if you can relax a little bit. Take some deeper breaths and just become a little bit more centered and balanced. Slowly bringing your awareness back into the room as we release our hands. Just be mindful in our yin practice not to open the eyes too much. We want to keep our mind and our body quiet as much as possible. So we're going to stay in a comfortable cross-legged position. So I have my right foot forward. I'm just going to switch legs a little bit so the other foot is forward, giving myself just a little bit of gentle movement. And we'll just do a forward bend right from this space today. So let's just walk our hands out in front of us. We want to keep the sit bones grounded, so no lifting them off the earth. We're just going to come forward. Maybe you can come forward onto the forearms. Or if it's comfortable today, you can put a blanket underneath your head or a block underneath your head if you want to. I'll demonstrate the block. I do want your forehead touching something if it's possible so that your neck can feel released. And just take a few moments if you don't need anything underneath your forehead because your head comes all the way to the floor. That's perfectly fine too. So sink into sit bones. Pull back so you're sinking deep into those sit bones, and there's maybe a little rounding into the low back. Feel the breath in the lower abdominal area, lower diaphragmatic area, and feel yourself letting go a little bit with gravity. So maybe your head releases a little bit more, maybe the shoulders release a little bit more. As you begin to settle in, again, making the breath nice and long and deep. And if you can, still the pose so that there's no movement in the body, just in the breath. So as you exit this pose, let's come onto the forearms first. If you're down pretty low, take just a moment or two here. We'll be very mindful of our backs. And let's use our hands to walk ourselves back up. Beautiful. So I'm going to do one of my favorite twists. And so I'm going to come off my blanket, and so I can show you if you need to use the blanket. But you're welcome to stay on the blanket if you want. So I'm going to take that right leg just out to the side. And it is important to keep both feet flexed in this pose. We don't want to curl the toes under. We want to keep the knee comfortable. So both feet are slightly flexed. All right, so if my right leg is out to the side, I'm going to twist to the left. So this will be the easiest part of the twist if you just want to hang out here. There's all kinds of levels to this twist, so let's see where you want to go. If you think you can go further, you can place a blanket or a bolster and maybe next to your left hip, and you can come down and rest here. So that begins this nice twist in the lower body. And some of you may be able to go even a little bit further. So you can just keep moving the blanket back if you want, and just keep twisting and see how far you want to go. And just notice where your body still feels comfortable. Now this right hip will obviously be lifting off the mat, but we want to try to sink, if you can, both sides of the chest down towards the mat or onto your blanket or bolster, whatever you choose. And then the same thing will be true here. We want to try to keep our head comfortable. So let's place our hands or our head on the floor. And from here, you should feel a really nice twist in that right side of the body. Maybe all the way down from the hips, all the way up into the upper back, possibly. So take your time. Find where you can feel the twist. Be mindful. Take a few breaths. And then just allow yourself to feel that gravity again and settle in. Notice if you're relaxing the shoulders, if you're relaxing the jaw. So if you can go really deep in this pose, you're welcome to extend the arms out in front. So you decide where it feels best for you. Bring those hands underneath the shoulders so you can gently push yourself up and walk back to your center. And then just very slowly release the legs and we'll stretch them out in front of us for a moment. I'm going to veer off course a little bit. I don't usually do one pose and then another pose and back and forth, but today I'm going to. So before we go to the other side, I'm actually going to do forward fold with you. So I'm placing a blanket underneath my knees because I know my hamstrings are tight today. So we're going to do this pose, then we'll go to the other side, and then we'll come back to this pose. So a little bit differently today. So go ahead and pull back on those muscles of your butt. If you need something underneath your knees to support your low back, you can also have something underneath your butt if you want to. And let's just relax our arms. So we're not really working the shoulders. Let's just take a nice soft breath in. We're going to pull that lower belly in and we're just going to fold forward. Now, we're not going to stay here very long. We're going to do about half the pose and then come back. We'll do the other half in a bit. So won't be so concerned right now if your forehead is just not resting on something, but the next time we come back, we'll make sure and do that. And there's no reaching for feet or anything. We're just allowing that lower back to round just a little bit as we pull the belly in. And then if you'd like to, we can round in the upper back. If you want to tuck your chin in towards the chest slightly. And let's make this entire back of the body pose. So I'm going to talk just for a minute about this back of the body. So the fascia, which is what we're trying to get into, that deep connective tissue in yin, in the back of the body goes from the bottoms of the feet all the way through the backs of the legs, through our glutes, connects the base of the sacrum, and then we can feel it all the way up the spine. And if you tuck the chin slightly in towards the chest, you may actually feel that line of fascia coming all the way through the back of the neck, over crown of the head, and it actually reaches into the third eye. So you can probably feel it all the way up through the back of the neck, and then you can energetically feel it from the crown of the head to the third eye. So see if you can notice that as we breathe for a couple more minutes here in this forward fold. let's pull that energy into the belly. Supporting our low back, take your time rolling up. Beautiful. So we're going to do that twist on the other side. So this time that left leg comes out to the side. We know that's where we are making sure that our feet are in a nice flexed state. If you need the blanket, it's over here by your right hip. Again, you can use whatever you need to. So as we twist to the right, take your time. Now that you know the pose, draw the belly in, lift the heart. Take your time feeling the twist from the lower waist, then a little higher in the body as you fold down towards the earth. And notice if this is as deep of a twist as you can get, you're going to feel it in the side body and the belly. And again, this left hip is going to come up, lift up off the mat probably, and it's going to start to come forward because eventually you're going to have both sides of the chest resting on the mat or the bolster. So I'm going a little bit deeper on this side just to show you if you would like to extend the arms. And maybe one arm reaches forward, other arm can reach back and rest back. Forehead comes to the earth or to your hand, to a block, whatever you need. And again, just making sure that you are in the deepest twist. So there's a little discomfort here probably in the abdominals and all of those organs that you're twisting, stretching, and releasing. Take your time, a few more breaths, and then just let yourself sink into your deepest pose. The body becomes still. The jaw relaxes. So if you've gone pretty deep, let's bring ourselves onto our forearms for just a moment. In these deep twists, it's important to come in and out of them with slowly, mindfully, with some really deep breaths to make sure that we're not causing any discomfort in the body. So let's mindfully work our way up. I'm going to go back into that forward fold. So let's go ahead and take those legs, stretch them out in front of us. Again, I'm going to place the blanket underneath my knees. And this time I would prefer that the crown of your head does rest on something. So I'm going to use a block, but if you want to use anything else, feel free, and the block can be used as high or as low as you want it to be. All right, take your time, soften the feet. You don't have to flex them, just have it. So nice long exhalation. Let's find ourselves in this forward fold a little bit deeper, perhaps. If your head comes all the way down to your knees, obviously you don't need a prop. Or if you can you want to stack your hands instead of using a prop, please feel free to do that. If you're finding any discomfort in the low back because you have been doing a lot of forward folds, just come out of the pose slightly, maybe by lifting the chest up, and maybe the head, just stays neutral. And see if you need to stay like that for just a little bit, and then you can maybe come back in or maybe not, depending on how you feel in your back. So take a nice deep breath. If your knees are not already bent, let's bend them a little bit as you come on up. So we've done a lot of stuff forward folding, so we're going to spend the rest of our class on our backs today. So just have the blanket or blocks and anything just kind of handy, okay, so that we can use them. This first pose, you probably won't need anything. We're just going to do a reverse pigeon. So we'll come onto our back, and some of you may just take that right foot and place it onto that left thigh and just let this pose be right here, maybe with a little bit of weight pressing into that right thigh, pushing it back. And maybe that's your pose today. If you can go on the next level, we'll go ahead and bring our hands through the leg so we grasp it behind that left knee, and we'll draw the leg towards us. So there's a little bit of movement there of drawing the leg towards you. And if you can't reach the back of that left knee, you're always welcome to use a strap or even your blanket just to have it as a little bit of assistance. So you should be feeling the stretch in the right glute. Maybe some other places too, but that's definitely the spot where we feel it the most. Let your head relax. Let your lower body relax. The low back will be pushing into the earth, which is just perfect since we've been pushing it the other direction. So really nice long exhale breath, soften the belly, soften the low back into the earth. Feel the earth support as you draw the leg in, and just take your time breathing and releasing. So take a nice deep breath. And let's just release by bringing our feet to the mat. Let's take a moment here. Sometimes these deep glute stretches can be quite emotional for the body and mind. So always take some nice deep breaths between each side if you need them. Don't rush in anything. And whenever you feel that you're ready, this left foot can come onto the right thigh. And again, maybe this is where you stay today, or you can take your hands through, grab onto the back of that right knee, and gently draw the leg towards you. So you're sinking into that lower back. And just find some nice comfortable discomfort there in that left outer hip, left glute. If this is tighter for you, you may want to release a little bit, find a new position. If it's easier for you, just a slight movement of the body to the right will create a deeper pose in that left outer glute. So play with that and then settle in. Nice deep breath. And let's release this again, just bringing those feet to the mat for just a moment. Checking in with both hips, both sides of the body. So to round out our series, we want to do a little back bend. So you can make the back bend as strong or as small as you like. So I'm going to do a deeper back bend by using a block underneath my low back. Now, if you don't want to block, A, because it's not very comfortable, or B, because it's too high, you can just roll up your blanket to whatever level that you think you may need. And I recommend at least a pretty good double blanket there. And you can put that underneath your low back. But either one, so it'll be a supported bridge. We'll start with the supported bridge, and then I'll go ahead and change the legs for those of you who want a little bit more. So if you remember, we're going to place our low back on the block or our bolster, which are our blanket, whichever you want. So when you come down in this pose, if your head and neck and shoulders are not comfortable, add a blanket or whatever you need to make that comfortable. And I know this block underneath the low back is not the best, so we'll do what we can. So we're going to start with the feet just on the mat, about hip distance apart. We're going to take our arms out to the sides in a nice T position, perhaps. And some of you may even feel like you want to take the arms over the head, and that is perfectly fine too. Whatever seems to work best for you. Just make sure the neck and head and shoulders are comfortable. And again, after about a minute, I will change the position of the legs so you can go a little deeper if you wish. But always know that you can stay right here. And if you have the arms out to the sides or over the head, if it becomes uncomfortable on the shoulders, just bring them back to your sides. And if you bring them back to your sides, see if you can notice, you can roll the shoulders underneath you a little bit. So there's a little slight lift to the chest. Good. So hopefully you found a nice position that works for you. And let's settle in and breathe. So if you think your breathing sounds good, your body feels good, and you can do more today, start with the right leg and just stretch it out onto the mat. So as you do that, you'll notice that it adds a little weight, and so the lower back creates more of a back bend. And those of you who have a good strong core practice, you can take both legs and stretch them out. And this creates much more of a back bend, and you can do that. So if you've done one leg, then I will just let you decide when you want to switch to the other leg, but do both. At some point, you can switch back and forth if you'd like. for maybe a few breaths on each. And again, same thing with the arms. If you'd like them to be at your sides, see if you can roll the shoulders underneath. And if you'd like them over your head or out in a T position. Bring your awareness into the lower diaphragmatic breath, please. So this can be a pretty strong pose. So be mindful if your legs are stretched out. Let's bring the feet back to the mat for our supported bridge. And then we want to move into Shavasana as gently as possible. So let's go ahead and lift and take our prop out from underneath our low back. Make sure we draw the knees in towards the chest and hold them there for a couple of breaths. And in Yin, I always say to do Shavasana in a big letter X, arms and legs spread out. But that is up to you, however you feel comfortable practicing your final pose. Let's find that awareness, the earth. Close the eyes. I will just guide you through for the next 3 minutes. A quick little Shavasana. So as you find comfort in this final pose today, give yourself the blessing of some really long, comfortable breaths. Let your body begin to relax into the earth. Can you relax those shoulders, the face, the back, the jaw? Can you relax the belly, and the legs and the feet today? Take a conscious long breath out. If you need to exhale through the mouth for a time or two, maybe that feels good for you, please do so. And then bring your awareness to your third eye between the eyebrows. Let yourself settle there. So I invite you to stay in Shavasana as long as you need to. There's no need to get up, and just continue to stay here, silent and quiet and relaxed. But do give yourself the gift of gratitude, honoring yourself and your practice, some beautiful energy that you have created this time together today on your mat. Thank you for joining me. Namaste.